Hello everyone, here's a quick chapter overview of what we'll be covering today. Feel free to skip to the timestamp you need. Our goal today is to showcase some automatic vitamin crafting modules and machines that are designed for a factory on the Battlecraft SMP. These are compatible with almost any version of Cobblemon in the base game. Here's a quick overview of each schematic, new and improved. This first design is an automatic medicinal brewing machine by Retro Spectacles. The design fills the bottles with water, evenly distributes bottles and medicinal leaks, and also has a filter for output. Next up is just the based crafter powered by a button. This is a simple module that we'll be taking and editing in order to automate the entire systems. The next one, we're building upon that single automatic button crafter, and we're adding a few more pieces of functionality. The single module of the crafting machine features an on and off switch, an automatic timer for automatic crafting, and a comparator circuit to turn off the system if the system is out of items. We build upon that by copy and pasting it 6 times and connecting up the water streams, and there we have it, the same functionality, an auto feed system. This system is great for automatic farms as it will make vitamins around the clock as long as the droppers have items in it. But we can take that design one step further and never have to worry about medicinal brews being loaded into the system by combining the first medicinal brew machines with the modules made in the last one. So with these auto crafters and the on and off switch and the comparator checks for items, we can simply put a medicinal brew machine on top of each one to make sure that we're never out of medicinal brews in each crafter. This still allows the ice stream for automatic filling of the items, and it'll turn itself off if it's out of another item. However, this design requires the person to interact with the machine from below, and we're better than that. We can automate things and put everything into one place with a few water streams, so this is the full factory example. It features an auto feed system capability with the water streams. It auto sorts out the items to put them in the crafters like the ones we've just shown. However, this time we have an interface with on and off switches from above, and there's a single output with everything going into a chest. This is a perfect design if you have some auto farms, let's say an automatic sugar farm, an automatic fish farm, some automatic berry or mint farms. And it also features the medicinal brewing machine so that you never worry about running out of medicinal brews, because I tell you, you run through those things real fast. And the next one is an example of how you can take it one step further. By moving things around a little bit more, we have a slightly more compact design that is set up for a little bit less automation. This one features a manual item loading system with indicators and interface. It does have brewers attached, and it also sorts the output with some Impulse SV item sorters. It also features, of course, individual off and on switch, both for the medicinal brewer and the crafting machine. So this is better for manual farming, or if you've got shulker boxes full of material somewhere in your world and you just want to input them into the system and let it run, this is the design for you. And I've also included this large factory facade building that I featured on the Battlecraft SMP. I had some people asking for this design to be put into this world download because they wanted to look at it or build it themselves, so here you go guys. In the following sections, I'll describe in great detail how each system works and then go over it. Hopefully you're seeing what I'm doing here though is taking a simple module and adding small pieces of functionality, replicating modules in order to make all 6 of the vitamins, and then connecting these up to interfaces. So this is highly customizable for your world, or if you're not really into that, then we can use Litematica mod to simply copy and paste it into your world. Since you're already playing modded, I figured adding the Litematica mod shouldn't be an issue, and trust me guys, it's so much easier than following a block-by-block tutorial. So there's a quick overview. Let's hop to a detailed overview of each system's functionality and what it's adding. Let's start by taking a look at this fantastic design from Retro Spectacles. Now you may see some awkward potions in this, and that's because I was testing it with awkward potions as well, and it does work with those. But in your system, there should only be water bottles and medicinal brews, so just keep that in mind. So first off, over here, we have the input, where there are glass bottles into the system. They're going to be running into this dispenser that is going to be powered and filling them with water bottles and then running into this chest here. Whenever the system is flush of medicinal brews, once they're done brewing, and these water bottles will replace them, it'll say, oh, we're out of water bottles in this chest, time to refill it, and it'll just run this little clock until this chest is full again. All of the medicinal leaks that go in this chest, and all of the water bottles will go into these barrels, and then into these hopper chains where they will be evenly distributed because of this comparator powering right here. They will be evenly distributed to these hoppers and down into this brewing stand. You can see here we've got a medicinal brew, we got some medicinal leeks, and unfortunately I still got some awkward potions left over from my earlier testing. Your version should not have that though. So when this timer goes off, it will release these the pulses that are running into these blocks here, locking the hoppers, allowing the water bottles and medicinal brews to run through this hopper down to this item sorter where we're going to be sorting out the medicinal brews, and any water bottles not used because of some awkward timing or chunk reloading will simply go into this dropper chain, and these observers will drop or shoot them all the way back up into this chest to be reused. That way you don't get a bunch of water bottles that are not being used if there's some chunk loading error, like you build it on a chunk half or something like that. It's just to avoid any error. So let's see it in action. We turn on this Ethos hopper clock, you'll see it flushes the system out of medicinal brews. That means any of the water bottles in here are going to be being brewed with medicinal leeks. Meanwhile, this thing is dispensing a bunch of water bottles that are being filled. They're going to go back into this chest right here, and once it's full, it'll stop. And then once these are done brewing, this timer over here is going to switch. There it goes. It empties out the medicinal brews, refills, and repeats 24/7. As long as there are water bottles or glass bottles in this system and medicinal leaks in this chest or in the system, it'll continue to do that. Another thing to keep in mind though is you will eventually run out of blaze powder, so you better have a blaze farm because you're going to want to load this bad boy up. And this is a great way to get a bunch of medicinal brews, and trust me, you're going to want a bunch of medicinal brews, which is why we're going to be implementing this machine a lot. But that's the rundown of the first item. Let's take a look at the second one, and this is as simple as possible, the automatic crafting machine. You hit this button and it sends pulses through the droppers, through these repeaters, and then back through. So you're powering once, and then these 3 droppers twice, spitting out the required items to craft one of the vitamin items. You see here we have some excess items in the crafter here, so once they go into this hopper, they will feed into this automatic crafter, and the pulse will come back around, powering the auto crafter, spitting out the item into this chest. It is as simple as it could possibly be. You see the items going in, it spits it out, bada bing, bada boom, we got another one. And for item sorting, we just got some chests here. I don't think this machine is much better than manually crafting, to be honest, but it is a little bit fun because you can just stand here and press a button and get all your items. However, we can automate a lot with this design by adding in a bunch of bonus functionality. In the world download, I go over how to set up your auto crafter, how to set up your filters, just in case you're unfamiliar with them, and checking things that are important item-wise, like clocks. I also explained that, yeah, that machine may have awkward potions in it, just because I copy and pasted it from another world. So if you see it anywhere else, that's why. Yours will not have awkward potions in it. Do not put nether wart into your machine. You don't need it. So this next design is building upon this really simple crafter right there, and it's adding some bonus functionality. First off, we've got some comparators reading out of these droppers, and if all of the things are full, if all of the droppers have items in it, then this light will be on, meaning the system can run, which will extend this block, allowing this timer to do its job. And this timer is just going to send a pulse through this block, replicating a button click every about 10 seconds, which means about every 10 seconds items will get dispensed into the crafter and an item will be made. However, right now you see that we're out of items. I've also added a hopper clock onto this side. This is again just running a pulse through every 10 seconds through this piece of sand here. And if you want to turn off the system, you can always just lock that redstone pulse right there. Another thing I've added is these Impulse SV item sorters that are going to be sorting out items going around this ice water stream. This has been in the game for as long as I can remember, really, as long as hoppers have been in the game. That way, for example, if we're trying to sort out Kelpsie berries, then we can throw Kelpsie berries from an automatic farm into the system, and they will go into this hopper here and down into this dropper. So that's the base functionality of how some automation can be improved to the base vitamin machine, but we can take it a few steps further. By copy and pasting that design 5 more times and lining it up around a water stream, we have a way to automatically farm items and feed it into the system. There is one major flaw with this system though, and that is medicinal brews are always going to go into the first hopper that they access, even though each machine needs medicinal brews. To avoid this altogether, you may just want to set up an automatic way to feed in medicinal brews into the system, especially because it's a 1-to-1 ratio for medicinal brews to item that you need. Now this might seem like a little bit of overkill, but if you're creating a lot of EV items, this might be a great way to go. We just have the medicinal brewing machine attached to the items filter and going down into the dropper to keep this thing fully loaded at all times. Besides that, it's the base machine with some item filters running around where you can set up your automatic fish or sugar farm or whatever you're automatically farming and input into the system like that. That way, if everything is on and the system has items like this, then it'll automatically be crafting EV items about every 10 seconds. And there goes one now. So if we take this design and want to add just a tad bit more functionality, then this is the factory that you want to go with. This white concrete can be floor level and designed any way you'd like. And there are 6 modules here, one for each EV item. We have an indicator to see if the item is in stock or not. The light means that it is not in stock. We have a quick way to access the glass bottles for the medicinal brewing machine, and a quick way to access the medicinal leaks into the brewing machine. We have a quick on switch for the medicinal brewing in cyan, and a quick on switch for the crafter in gray. We have an output so that all of the machines are going to spit out their items up this water stream into a chest. To input items into the system, we're just going to come over here and put items in this chest, which will run down to a little dropper clock and feed them into the system, going around and eventually finding their way to an item filter where they'll go in. This is perfect for your automatic farming. You can feed in all of your automatic sugar, fish, pork, whatever you're automatically farming right into the system. Now, if you're not doing quite as much automation and connecting everything up, then a great way to go is this slightly more compact design with an updated interface. This design also features a medicinal brewing machine connected to each one. However, instead of item filters and water streams, there's just a line of hoppers and barrels going up to a chest on top right next to an interface. So if the light's on, that means you're out of items, which means that you can simply put items into this chest and they will go down into the system. It also has a really quick, easy on-off switch for the crafter and for the medicinal brewer. And then down here on this end, it also auto-sorts all of the items that we're going to be outputted, the 6 vitamin items. On top of that, it's got a really, really nice little Pokeball design that I came up with. So these are a bunch of different pieces that you could create, or an entire factory that you can create in your world. And of course, if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Let's move on to the next part of the tutorial, which is going to be how to use a world download. This is something that everyone probably knows how to do, but just in case you don't, here's a quick overview. I'm going to be using the Prism launcher, which is a mod launcher that I've had a lot of success with, but most mod launchers, CurseForge, Technic, Modrinth, they have a lot of the same functionality, so don't worry. So the first thing you want to do is download the world. Here is a zip file of the world, and we're going to just extract it right here onto my desktop. So if you open this file, you'll see that we have jblader's vitamin machine tutorial, and then we click that and you'll have all of the advancements, all of the data, and all that good stuff. You're going to want to make sure that you grab this specific file here, and then we're just going to override it. So I'm just going to be dragging it back onto my desktop. So the folder that you want it to be named the world. You click on it and it brings up this menu, the advancements, the player data. Yeah, you want to make sure you don't have a folder within a folder. Next, you're going to take your version of the game. We're going to go to folder. And so here you can see downloads, Prism folder, instances, Cobblemon. So this is the pack right here. We're going to go to Minecraft. We're going to go to saves. And you see here we have tutorial world. That comes default in the Cobblemon mod pack. We're just going to drag jblader's world into that. And again, if you double click this, you're just going to want to make sure it has the level data, the region, the stats right here. If you open this folder and it also says jblader's vitamin machine tutorial again, then you're going to want to just move that folder up one. And that's it. Let's go ahead and launch it and make sure that's showing up in single player. So now if we go to single player, you'll see right here, jblader's auto vitamin machine. And this is not the final version, by the way, but just showing. If it says anything like this, like experimental settings, you can just click I know what I'm doing. If you really want to, well, you have the download of the world again if something breaks, so you can just reinstall it. And there you go. You've got the world in the base Cobblemon settings ready to go. That's something that everyone should know how to do, is how to use a world download so you can back up your own worlds and, of course, use tutorial worlds like this. Hopefully that helped. Next, let's talk about using Litematica. Litematica is a fantastic mod that'll save you a lot of time, so let's talk about it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is in your mod launcher, basically open the folder section, and pull up all of the options. You can see here it talks about the versions that I'm running, and we're running on Fabric Loader. That's important to remember. There's a bunch of different mod loaders, and you're going to want to match your mod type to the mod loader. So what we're going to do is basically find a Litematica version that matches the version of Cobblemon we're playing. And I'll include the link to this in the description, but this is just the Modrinth website where I looked up Litematica for version 1.21.1 because that's the version that we're playing on. Let's go ahead and click download. And this is for, as you see in the download name here, this is for Fabric 121. If you need a different version, you can click like, oh, I'm playing on Curse Forge. You can click Forge and then search the Litematica mod here. Go ahead and find that jar file in your downloads, and you're going to just want to drag it onto your desktop or a place where you can access it. So there it is, Litematica jar. And then we're going to drag that into our mods folder. So now if I scroll down, you should see Litematica right there. With Litematica 121 Fabric, you're going to need one other client-side mod that helps run this mod, and that is called Malilib. So here is Malilib version 1.21.1 for Fabric. Let's go ahead and download this. And we're going to repeat the process. In fact, you can just drag right out of your little download tab right into this if you'd like. And I always check and see if it's in there. There it is, Malilib library. Now we're going to go ahead and launch the client and see if we get any errors. Looks like everything is working fine here. There we go. So now when we go to single player, let me show you some of the settings that you're going to want to use to get Litematica into your world. Let's go ahead and join the tutorial world. The default setting for Litematica is M, which is also a Cobblemon default setting, so we've got to change that. Go to Options and Controls and Keybinds, and we're going to scroll down to Cobblemon. Open Summary. I'm just going to change it to a button on my mouse, button 4. Now if we hit M, bam, we got the Litematica options, and this is where we're going to be doing a lot of our work. Another thing we're going to be doing is grabbing a stick. It opens up a bunch of options for us in the Litematica mod. So let's say, for example, you want to paste this into your world. If you look down in the bottom left, you'll see an option whenever we hover over the stick. And if I hit Control and scroll wheel, then we will go to different options that we have within the Litematica tool belt. So we want to be on one of 9, which is the area selection tool. A lot of these tools, do not be overwhelmed. You're not really going to be using them. Area selection tool is the first one we're going to use. We're only going to be using a few. So first thing we're going to do is right click with the stick. And that we're going to select a magenta block, and then we're going to left click with the stick and then select another point. And as you see, we have highlighted this machine here. Now what's really cool about this is that once this is highlighted, we will be able to see a bunch of different things about it, like the blocks that we're using, and we'll be able to create a schematic and move it into the next world. To do this, let's go ahead and open our menu. Once everything is selected, we're going to go to Area Editor. Here you'll see the region that we have named from this corner to this corner, and then we're going to click Save Schematic. So this one is the 6 module Auto Crafter. So let's just type that in. You can name this whatever you'd like, and then I'm going to click Save Schematic. So Save Schematic right there. Bam, 6 module Auto Crafter. Now, if you'd like to select multiple things and save multiple schematics, you can have almost an unlimited amount of schematics as long as you have enough storage space on your computer to save the data. We'll select this one, select this, and we can do the same thing. This is the larger machine with the crafter. So again, we're going to hit M, Area Editor, Save Schematic, Save Schematic. There we go. So that's how you save a schematic. Now let's go ahead and head to our survival world where we'll be able to input this. Aha. So now that I'm holding my stick, even in survival, you can see that we've got some Litematica controls again in the bottom left. We'll have schematic placement, area selection, and edit schematic. So let's say we want to build our factory right here over this ocean. What we'll do is take our stick, we'll go ahead and hit the M button, and then we're going to click Load Schematic. Then you're going to grab the build. So let's do 6 module Auto Crafter, and you're going to hit Load Schematic. And there we go. It is loaded. It's probably here behind me. Yep, it depends which area, which direction we're facing. Switch to, if we hit Control and do schematic placement. So as I left click, you can see this thing is moving around. This is often a great way just to get a general placement, and then we can dial it in. But let's say we want it up a few blocks. Well, we can move the schematic. If we open our menu again and schematic placements and then hit configure, this will be all of the options that we need. So placement origin, here's our X, Y, and Z coordinate. We can move it around. We can move it up, down. Yes, move to player. We can rotate it. We can mirror it. And there we go. Now we are able to start building this thing with these ghost blocks and just following the ghost blocks perfectly. One thing I like is this render block as translucent. If we turn it to true, then it will kind of show them as ghost blocks where you can see through them, and I find this being a little bit easier to build with. Getting comfortable with the Litematica mod can really help you in your survival playing, so I highly recommend it, especially with the technical building. Welcome to the before you build section. I'll try to keep this as concise as possible. Here's some quick things that you need to know, or if you're running into errors, this is where you want to start. Firstly, make sure you leave a few, I recommend 3 to 5, of the items needed for a recipe in each crafter. This will prevent issues with items getting clogged in the hopper behind it or mistimings. Secondly, I did not fill many of the item filters because I wanted to leave up to you where and how you set up your item filters, but keep in mind that you need 4 items that are named filler items, and then the item you want to sort, 41 of those in the first slot. Again, I did not fill up every item filter in these designs, so make sure you go through and fill up the item filters with the items that you want to filter out. Next up, there are some important clocks and circuits that are requiring specific items in order to act precisely. Let me go over those real quick. The crafter hopper clocks use 16 items. This hopper clock uses a stack and 24, and there's a hopper over here that needs to have precisely 4 wooden shovels and 41 sticks. I made one change to this flat floor design here, and that is that the mint and the berries are sharing the same indicator light right now. It's just to make room for the crafters, so if you want to spread these out a little bit in your own builds, then go for it. Or you can change how the wiring is done. If you see composters on top of hoppers, that's just to reduce lag. The magenta blocks are here for you to easily grab the schematics you want. You don't need them in the final build, or the glass. If you're not into water inputs, of course you can use hoppers too, but I find the water streams are way cheaper. Also, make sure you check the description and make sure you have the newest version of the world download, and if you're running into an error, please go to the Battlecraft Discord, find me on there, send me a message. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, or leave in the comment section below. For troubleshooting, there are a few errors that I find I commonly make, and I just want to make sure that I cover up some of the basics. One, sometimes I accidentally unswitch or unflick a lever, especially when I'm following a tutorial. Most of the time, I'm leaving these machines off on default, so everything isn't running at the same time. So make sure that the levers are correct. I almost always forget the redstone torches on the bottom of the item filters, so keep that in mind, and make sure you double check your item filters. And lastly, and most importantly, when you're building these brewing machines, there is going to be something that you may encounter, and that is that this comparator right here is not being read because you won't have a stockpile of water bottles in here. You're building it from scratch, and that means the machine won't start. So here's how you overcome that. You take this observer right here, you knock out this piston, and then you're going to place the observer facing down right there. You're going to let this stock up the chest filled full of water bottles. Once you get enough water bottles here, you're going to knock out that observer. You're going to place your sticky piston back, and you're going to place your observer back. And now when you turn it on, it should work just fine. All right, try to make that as concise as possible. Thank you so much for watching the video so far. The next section, I'm going to show you how we can take what we've got here and expand it to the fullest capabilities of automation. So let's expand the design now, adding in a bunch more automation, connectivity, and usability. This is a large design that you can add to your world in order to farm a bunch of items, and most importantly, automate vitamin production on your Cobblemon world or server. This design uses the flat factory model that I showcased earlier in the tutorial. It has a single input where we can feed in all the items. It goes around item streams and to the correct crafter based on an item filter. There are indicators up top showing when it'll be out of items. There's also a manual on-off switch for the crafter and for the medicinal brewing machine that's already attached. When the machine is on and there's items in it, it'll automatically craft the vitamins and send it into the water stream. But as you see here, there's a bunch of items we need to farm in order to make the automation of vitamin production a reality. So we can do this in a few ways. A small fish farm on one side with an item filter filtering out all the raw cod and throwing into the system is one way we can feed that in. Another way you can do this is with a guardian farm. So that's one item taken care of, but we've got a few more. This design also features a sugarcane farm, which automatically turns the sugarcane into sugar and inputs it into the system. Raw pork is best farmed in the nether with a hoglin farm. You can get tons and tons of raw pork via a hoglin farm, which just leaves a dozen items left. To accommodate the last dozen items, we're going to be using this design from Potato Noir. This hostile mob farm is going to produce a ton of gunpowder, arrows, string, redstone, glowstone, bottles. We're going to be throwing out everything else, but of course we're going to want bone meal. And the bone meal is going to be able to be turned to bone blocks, and then those bone blocks, with the use of a button like this, are going to be sent back down to bone meal and sent around this item stream where they'll fill up hoppers and barrels, creating a backloading of bone meal. And this is how we're going to farm the rest of these mints, the wheat and the beetroot, and the berries that we need in order to create our vitamins. With this little contraption here, we can stand on the pressure plate and dispense bone meal out of these dispensers onto a little farming plot. For example, we can place this here, grow our mints, grab the seeds, and repeat. Once we have our mints all done, or our mint leaves, we can just input them into the system and they'll be automatically sorted. All doing this while the machine is AFKing and working. Of course, there's even more functionality to this design. With a few levers here on the back, we can turn on this bamboo farm and we can switch this over to sorting bone blocks instead of feeding into the bamboo farm. And this little bamboo farm is actually going to power all of this furnace system, filling it with bamboo planks where we can craft up glass for all the glass bottles that we're going to need. And any bone meal not going into one of the storage depositories for the plants around the outside will enter the end here of this chain and go and be fed into the system to account for the last craftable item. And just like that, in this one build, we've automated everything except for the raw meat production, which there's a lot of different ways to do it, although I think, again, the best way is just a hoglin farm in the nether. And when the items are done crafting, they'll come up here and be automatically sorted into chest or shulker boxes in this case. So there you have it, a super large automated factory with a ton of farming capabilities and connectivity capabilities. If you're into Cobblemon and automation and stuff, well, you're in the right place. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.